What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Unparalleled Sports Talk with Joe's Kwame Fisher Jones. As always, I am him. And I'm joined by my NFL, I was about to say NBA, NFL guru, general assignment reporter for the Philadelphia Eagles. Actually, no, general assignment reporter for NJ.com now, Chris Franklin.
Yeah.
I got to get used to that change, man. I every week I come up with a list of topics. I try to get stuff that's entertaining and, we can cover a different angle. And every week I come right back to Dallas Cowboys. So I try to scratch it off and I try to go a different direction. But no matter what, it all leads back to Arlington, Texas, and one Jerry Jones. So the Dallas Cowboys decided to sign CeeDee Lamb, making him the second highest paid wide receiver in the NFL behind Justin Jefferson. So, Chris, what the hell was the point of the holdout? Why didn't they just sign him from the door?
Because Jerry Jones and Jerry Jones wants to make sure things are on his terms because he's Jera and everything has to go through Jera and he got to make and he was trying to get the upper hand, but he misread the market. This should have been done early on, and it probably would have saved him about a good $8-9 million if they did it at the right time. It probably would have saved him $8-9 million, but nope, Jerry had to be Jerry, and this is what the result is. Now you just took a bigger chunk out of your cap. You still have to sign Micah Parsons, and you still got if they want to go with that. So it's I wonder. Sometimes he's hard headed, and I know Jerry thinks he's still the
Sometimes.
best. Yeah, so I was being nice on that one. I'm being real nice on that one. And until the day Stephen Jones takes over and takes over football decisions as a whole, this you're going to continue to see bad decisions made. Now, I'm not going to say he's going to be the cure all, but he definitely makes a lot better decisions than his dad does at this point. And it might be time for him to pass the torch in a way and let Jerry still focus on the marketing aspect.
I don't make a habit of telling billionaires what to do. I understand that my lane is here and they fly. So I don't make it a habit of telling them what to do. I surmise that he had a plan going in with the CeeDee Lamb negotiations. And I surmise that they knew all along they were going to sign CeeDee Lamb, but they wanted to send a message to maybe Micah and perhaps Dak and maybe someone else that's coming up on the pipeline that's maybe fishing for a new contract that we don't know about, that we do things on our own terms. We move at our own pace. I don't know if it matters. I've told you before. I think Jerry Jones is giving up trying to win the Super Bowl. He would love to do it if possible, but as long as he's making money and as long as the Cowboys are relevant, as long as they're talked about on every little podunk podcast, such as ours, and on national TV, the shows we watch, he's winning. So this was probably about that. I honestly, in my heart of hearts, believe that he no longer cares about winning a Super Bowl. He would love to do it, but he's done that. You know what he hasn't done? Made $3 billion. He's made two. Now he wants to make three. You know what I mean? And the quote, the great philosopher Jay-Z, I'm gonna mess with it a little bit. There's no such thing as an ugly billionaire. There's no such thing as a dumb billionaire. So I'm gonna repeat what I started out with. I don't make a habit of telling billionaires what to do. I stay in my lane while they fly above me. So I don't get it, but I don't need to get it. CeeDee signed. The season's about to start. They don't want Dak back unless it's for pennies on the dollar. And we can transition right to that. What does this mean for Dak Prescott and his contract situation? Because they're going to sign Micah. I believe they're going to sign Micah. Well, what does this mean for Dak? Excuse me, Dakota.
They better sign Micah because Micah might want to come to the Eagles and they better throw the Brinks truck back at him.
Good on that move. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't want him, but he seems to like him. But when you look at the way with Dak, they're just setting up. I don't know, and you're trying to figure out what's their plan. They're trying to get Dak to sign his deal. Well, when you look at the prospective quarterbacks who are going to be available when he's a free, if he becomes a free, say if they let him go next year, when you look at the market, he's beyond the best option that's out there. Because behind him, you're looking at guys like Sam Darnold, you're looking at Carson Wentz, you're looking at maybe Justin Fields. And I'm sorry, if Justin Fields go down there, I like as a quarterback, it's rough. It's just going to remind me of Quincy Carter Part 2.0 when it comes if he goes down there because they may not give him the stuff around him to surround it.
Quincy like to taste the juice too, so
Yeah.
that's a tough one. It's a verifiable fact. It's not a rumor; it's a fact. Quincy
Yeah,
admitted
yeah,
Quincy like to taste the juice. I'm just saying.
yeah, yeah. It's
So
true. Yeah, on the field, Quincy. I'll put that one too because I don't think Justin Fields probably looking around like I don't want none of that smoke, or I
I
don't want
think
them to
Justin
follow me
Fields is
around
going to do
that.
all right in Pittsburgh. We can talk about that later on in the show, but I actually think Justin Fields is going to do all right in Pittsburgh. I didn't mean to cut you.
There you go, man. So when you look at the way that what the Cowboys do it, unless they know they're getting a trade or they heard through the grapevine somebody's coming free, I don't get what they're doing. They don't have the picks to really make a splash and make a trade. The only way they can get a good quarterback next year is they tank this year, and they're continuing to make these moves where they're going to try to be a contender. You can't tank for like, oh wow, we could be a contender in the NFC East to. No, let's go for the one no top pick overall. It's just, I don't know what direction this team is going. I really don't.
I it's funny. This is the opening show where polar opposites on both sides. I actually believe they're waiting to see. They're waiting to see what shakes out. As far I should have posed the question of what does this mean for Dakota in the sense of how is he going to approach the season? Because Kirk Cousins got the truck backed up for him after a serious injury, but the truck was driven by the Atlanta Falcons. I we talked about this before. You got the Oakland Raiders, right?
Right.
And maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers. If Russ struggles and Justin Fields isn't the answer, Pittsburgh is not going to back the truck up for Dakota. They're not going to. He's not going to get. He's not even. What they say, the King's ransom. He's not even going to get a jester's ransom. So the question is, does he want to go play in? I was about to say L.A. Then I was catching myself and said Oakland. Then I caught myself and said Las Vegas. Does he want to go play in Vegas?
And
Devontae Adams may or may not be there, but I mean, do you?
they give you if Adams, I think wants to. I think there's gonna be one more year where he and Rodgers are together, so I think he's going probably by the trade deadline. So you don't have the tools around you to be okay. It would be probably his last significant payday. But even if he went back to the Cowboys, I don't know if they have the money because there's going to be a team where the Cowboys should still sign, or somebody's going to throw stupid money. Like, I mean, really stupid money in them because that
Oh,
class,
like who do you think? And I'm not going to try to coach, but who do you think outside of the
I
Yates,
think.
who do you think would spend that? Because realistically, Dallas is probably offering him, what was it, about 50 million?
Yeah, I
Realistic.
have to check. I have to check the cap because it could be I got to check the cap. But if teams I think could be making a move, I would have said the Saints, but they got Spencer Rattler, and everybody's talking about, oh my goodness, he's the next one. He's gonna be the next one. You should bench
He
Carr and
will.
put Spencer
He
Rattler
will.
in.
And is there much of a difference between Derek Carr and Dakota Prescott?
Not really. If you look at their especially the
Exactly.
postseason, not really.
Exactly.
But I
See, you
think when you
see,
look at,
you're coming with me. You're coming with me.
but I think when you look at like you look at the yards, and you can say, well, he's got CeeDee Lamb to help him out. He's had all those other receivers to help him out
Mm-hmm.
and have that thing. But then also I look at the coaching staff, and you have a defensive minded coach and Dennis Allen who's going to tell his guys, don't turn the ball over so my defense can be fine and blah blah blah. Blah.
Mm-hmm.
And they have even as much as he's not is far from 2010 Mike McCarthy, but he is an offensive minded coach, and he's going to have Dak in
Mm-hmm.
mind when he's making his offense. So I think that's why you see the numbers done. So I think if you put Carr into this Cowboys offense, the numbers will be pretty close. I don't think anywhere Dak will still beat him by that. The numbers would be a lot higher inside of that. So I don't know where you're getting that one too, but I just don't see. They're just dumb. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be objective, but I'm just trying to find out what the Cowboys are doing in terms of that. And I know they're trying to wait it out, but there's gonna be a team that cuts somebody. There's that we're just saying like,
You're
oh,
right. You're right. And
okay,
they know that going in. I look at it this way. This is the way I approach it. You mentioned Derek Carr, they've got Spencer Rattler. But aside from that, let's say you bring in a young, hot shot offensive coach, right? Not John Gruden outside of football, but John Gruden when he was the hot meal ticket in Oakland. When they came and swooped him as he was an offensive coordinator in Philadelphia, nobody really heard of him. Al Davis saw something in him, brought him into Oakland. He had success, built a good team, blah, 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 blah. Let's say they find the next hot shot offensive coordinator. We don't know who he is because we don't know who's, and you're like, okay, we can win 11 games with Dakota and then lose in the first round of playoffs. Maybe we get dumb luck, make it to the second round. Or we can find our own Matthew Stafford. We can find our own Jared Goff. We can find our own retread, add the new hot offensive minded coach, and kind of catch lightning in a bottle. You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah,
You
I think
know,
I think I may have just found a team, and they may have just enough where they can free some stuff up, looking around like if they want to restructure contracts or anything. And it will be so funny if this happens if he stayed in the division. The Giants, Daniel Jones, technically his contract, they can cut bait with him. Hey, that'll be funny to watch that. It's
and
a New York
Denenbaugh,
market.
I was about to I call him Denenbaugh. Was it Brian Deep? How do you pronounce his last Brian?
Brian
What's
Dable,
Brian
Brian
Dable?
Dable. Hmm.
Uh, you send him to Dallas. He was the hot look. I'm not gonna go fishing for coaches because I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna hold you. I don't know. But what I do know is the NFL every year there is a guy, there is a player that everyone thought was last year with Shaker Baker. You know, everybody thought big. I like self included. I was like, yes, we don't have to hear anymore. No more discount. What was it, State Farm? Nothing. And he had a resurrection in
Yeah.
Tampa Bay. You know what I mean? You look at Arizona, just for itches and giggles. Let's say they stink again. That's not a far fetch. That's not a far cry. Are they going to cut bait with Kyler Murray? You say, well, contract wise, and then you start looking into contract. It's like, well, it's not too hard to. Russ, they did cut. Denver did get rid of Russ out of and ate a lot of that money. So maybe it's not that bad of a move. They got to get. You see what I'm getting at? So I think that Dallas is sitting around and said, look, we know what Dak's going to do this year. I want to bring it back a second though. I actually think Dak is going to play this year close to the vest. I don't. I think he's going to have a hamstring injury the moment he feels pain. He's going to miss a couple of games. I think he's going to play his hand and say, you know what? Let's see what Trey Lance looks like when the real bullets fly. Exactly. That's what he's looked like so
Yeah.
far. But let's see what he looks like when the real bullets fly. And I'm still holding out belief that or hope, I should say belief, hope that Trey Lance is any good. But so if Dak's going to do that, saw Kirk Cousins get a contract after an injury, I think he's done in Dallas, man. I just think he's done. And the CeeDee Lamb contract put the nail in the coffin because they signed the guy that was supposed to help him get to the next level, and they signed him late, kind of sending a message like when we feel like it, we'll get it done when we feel like it. And I'm sure Dak's got to take it or leave it deal, and he's decided to leave it. I don't see them going up. I don't see him having a monster year this year going up. I don't or going out. What
Yeah,
say you?
I think, see, I could see him doing it just to try to drive up the price even more. And I look, but the thing that's going to go against him, I think, is when you look, they're going to have to play that, they're going to play that first place schedule,
Yep.
and it's going to buy him. And there's going to be some games where he's sitting there, he's slipping. Everybody goes, "Oh, see, Dak doesn't deserve the big money. Dak doesn't deserve that." So I look at it, and I'm still thinking, like, you know what? I think he regresses, but overall, I still think he does good. I think he'll be a Pro Bowler. I think he'll be in the conversation of being
Really?
I think he'll be a Pro Bowler. Well, everybody makes a Pro Bowl now.
Yeah.
And everybody so yeah.
Mac and Cheese was a Pro Bowler. The backup quarterback for the Ravens was a Pro Bowler. So fair point.
Yep. Yep.
Speaking of
Everybody's a Pro Bowler. Hmm.
surprises, we kind of kicked the tire. We beat this topic, but I want to go to something new that caught my eye because you and I seem to agree on this one. Bo Nix is named the starter in Denver. I haven't. Numbers, numbers lie. Like despite the popular phrase, numbers do lie. And so I'm not even gonna get into Bo Nix's numbers. But Denver is in a division with the Kansas City Chiefs are here, and everybody else is kicking down at the bottom here. They don't even have to drop; they're all at the bottom. I see Justin Herbert in San Diego, Jesus, Los Angeles. You know, I see QB1. I don't even know who the greatest quarterback is right now. It's funny because I think if you're not a Raiders fan, you don't know who the Raiders quarterback is right now.
Gardner Minshew.
What ooh, look
Gardner
at
Minshew.
you. Look at you.
It, only because I'm like, well, how did that? He could only imagine him driving that minivan or RV across country, trying to go. I'm going to
Mm,
settle here for a little bit, trying to get
in
this job.
Vegas.
Yeah,
What does starting Bo Nix mean for the Broncos' future? Because it's easy to say they're looking forward to the future now. They want, he's a quarterback for the future, but you and I know his talent doesn't yield itself to that acclaim. So what do you think this means for the Broncos' future, immediate
it just
future
gives
and
him.
long term future?
I think the immediate future, he's the best of a bad bunch out there because Zach Wilson and Jarrett Stidham. Yeah, nah. And I
Yeah,
usually advocate for sitting the quarterbacks and letting them learn, but it's a dire situation there because they're going to have to put some field some type of team, and you can't play the whole let's have a real competition. There's no competition between those three. He's far and away the best quarterback. Now, if you put
which
him on
says
some of
a
these
lot.
other teams, yeah, put him on the Eagles, he's probably the third string because Kenny Pickett probably beats him out, unfortunately. But yeah, you see stuff like
I'm
that, you got
surprised
that.
Kenny Pickett didn't get cut, but go ahead.
Yeah, in terms of that. So I look at it and like short term, I think he's the best. But long term, I think you get an extra year of evaluation out of him. So that way you don't have to wait as long. Like by instead of now year three, by year two, you should see marketed progress to the point where he should at least have you contending for at least a wild card spot, for at least for the Broncos. They're not going to win that division with Patrick. As long as Patrick Mahomes has a breath and can
Yeah,
wheel out, and he doesn't have, he can have two knee replacements. He's still going to be the best quarterback in that division. So I look as long as he makes enough progress to a point where he's a top 15 quarterback, then I think you'll be all right. If he goes out there, stinks up the joint, and is horrible, then you got to start looking again. Probably as much as I like their general manager, he might as well be fired. But yeah, he's probably gonna go. Oh, yeah, he's done because he get two try to choose two franchise quarterbacks the first round. Nah, good luck. You're seeing that. So I get for their situation, I think it's an outlier. They need to because they just don't have the horses at that position to really go with.
I think it screams they don't have a plan. To be honest with you, Bo Nix was a decent college quarterback. Um, he put up solid numbers in a conference that had, sometimes nine men playing defense at one time. It wasn't the pack, the pack insert number here was not a formidable defensive conference. We saw the numbers that Shador Sanders put up. We saw the numbers that Caleb Williams put up. So it to me screams we don't know what we're doing. So we're going to throw him out there and see if he hopes. I hope he does well. I also think it shortens the tenure of Sean Payton. And that's what I think it does. It puts the Broncos. So here's the thing. You mentioned Patrick Mahomes. When you have a franchise quarterback, top tier quarterback, all time great for one team in a division, the other teams are constantly playing catch up. And what happens is you have coaches that try to find a guy that's going to compete with Patrick Mahomes when God didn't create that. I'll take you back to the AFC East. Dolphins, the Jets, and the Bills were trying to find guys that could compete with Tom Brady. God didn't create that guy. So the Bills, the Dolphins, and the Jets always were horrendous, thus giving the Patriots multiple wins in their division every year to keep them above the fray. It's the same thing that's going on in the AFC West right now. When I see the Broncos go for Bo Nix in the first round, it showed me they didn't know what they wanted to do because they got rid of Russ Wilson. And if Bo Nix puts up the same numbers that Russell Wilson put up, they're going to be sitting around patting each other on the back. Like, oh, we got our guy. We got our guy. When in actuality, for real, he did nothing special because you just got rid of the guy to put, and you say, well, he put those numbers up and he'll get better. You hope, but you don't know. He doesn't have a proven track record of getting better. He has a proven track record of moving. Oregon was his second college. Where did he start? I think he started like Auburn or something.
Auburn, I think it was
Yeah,
Auburn.
yeah.
Yeah,
So and I'm not penalizing him for moving. That's the nature of college football right now. My point I'm trying to make is this: to me, it shows that they don't have a plan for the long term future. They're trying to do something in the immediate future that can't be done. and that's catch Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. You ain't cut from that cloth. You don't know what that you don't know what that dinner smells like. Like, dude, this not you. Sit down, seriously, sit down, draft the lineman in the first round, right? Second round, go with the highest rated quarterback available. Start with your interior line, or you start with your offensive line and work your way from your interior defensive line. That's how you build a competitive football team. You start reaching for quarterbacks in the first round, dude. Come on, man. You're getting Tim Rattay, Jim Junkin Miller.
Wow.
You know what I mean? But those are all first
Wow.
round quarterbacks. You know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
grabbing guys. Hope you're playing Russian roulette at the bar with a bottle of whiskey. Like, hopefully she comes home with me. Like, you don't have a plan. You don't have a plan, and that's what it screams. And like I said, it puts the end closer for Sean Payton because Bo Nix isn't going to have Russ Wilson's year. He's not going to have those numbers. He's going to struggle. He reminds me a lot. I'm going to get ripped for this. He reminds me a lot, though. He's just got this Tim Tebow feel about him. And I don't know why, but it just when I look at him, I see Tim Tebow 2.0. And I don't know what I'm talking about. I didn't even see Elvis, man. I'm gonna get ripped for it. Mark my words. Tim Tebow-ish. This is what this dude is. And the same way we ran out Josh McDaniels after he reached for Tim Tebow, because he was reaching in the division, is the same way they're gonna run out Sean Payton for Bo Nix. Mark my words. What say you?
I was gonna say, discount Elvis Gerbach. If you really want to go somebody, discount Elvis
Yeah,
Gerbach afterwards.
the line of bad first round quarterbacks is endless. There's a name I can't remember that got drafted by the Cardinals and they cut bait with him after like 2
Josh
years.
Rosen. Josh
Thank
Rosen.
you, Josh Rosen. Who was
Yeah.
Josh Rosen's coach? Quick, 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 quick.
Oh.
Exactly. He wound up being the
Oh.
defensive coordinator for the 49ers. And they just
I
fired him
was
again. Steve, was it Steve? I
Will
want to
Steve
say Steve.
Wilkes.
Steve
Steve
Wilkes.
Wilkes. Yep, he went to
So,
Carolina. Yeah, he went there. Yeah.
like we can go
Oh.
on and on and on of guys in the first round who had no business being taken in the first round. Quarterbacks and head coaches go hand in hand in the NFL. I feel like I'm like beating a dead horse here. But so that's what it screams to me though. When you lose that much money, there's a phrase you have. You can't call off the dogs when the boss is involved. When you lose that much money, the boss has come down from the penthouse. He's on the sidelines like, okay, so what we doing? That was a lot of money they ate for Russell. Am I lying? Where's the lie?
It's not. It's not. Like it's I just look at the only thing I think is if Nick shows just a little bit of promise and it buys Peyton a lot of time. And then the Broncos, what I think next year could be the one that really runs them out because if the Broncos like, oh, we got our quarterback, they do really well. Sean, come back for another year. Let's invest all this stuff into the offense. We have money because he's on a rookie deal. Let's get another wide receiver. Let's get all that stuff. And then the true Sean Payton comes out and you see Nick's regresses and Sean tries to overcomplicate this system over and over with his 12, 13 word plays that he wants to run and repeat it, then I think that's where you start to see the regression. Because I may have a copy of his 2000 playbook is when he was with the Giants in the OC. I may have a copy of that playbook. And when you look at some of the stuff he does, I understand you want to tag certain routes for certain receivers, try to help them out learn it. Those things are so long to word things.
Yeah.
I can see a quarterback being confused in the system, especially a young one. He's not Nick's is not Drew Brees. Drew Brees at least had a couple years in the league and he could handle that. Look at all the other ones that quarterbacks have been in his systems. They've all struggled because it's and to me it's too complicated and he tries to do too much stuff. So yeah, Nick's that could be another reason why Nick's kind of fizzles out.
You mentioned a great point. The worst thing in the world could be that Nix has a great year. And I'm a liken it to a guy, one of my team I like. Remember the year the Atlanta Hawks in the NBA? What a great year. They beat Philly in the first round. They beat Philly in the second round. They went to the Eastern Conference Finals. So the organization said,
Yeah.
"Oh, we're ahead of schedule. We know we're gonna go. So they decided we're gonna go all in and build around Trey. Where they at now? Taking bad players from overseas first overall. That's what's going to happen in Denver. If Bo Nix puts up decent numbers, we've got our guy. Dude, Patrick Mahomes is in your division. You're not going. You need to change your goal. Your goal cannot be to win your division. Your goal should simply be to make the playoffs, and then in a one-game scenario, possibly take Patrick Mahomes out. Oh, Knicks ain't doing that, and Sean Payton ain't doing that. It's the truth, So it just it's kind of like it's kind of like it's like it's delaying the inevitable, but quickly, because I know we're going to be pushed against it here, and I know you got a lot to say about this one. We're going from, speaking of the Broncos, their former quarterback, Russell Wilson. I don't know if he's struggling help me out here. Is he struggling in Pittsburgh, or do they just want Justin Fields to win the job?
I think he's straight struggling. He's in
Really?
another system. He's in another system. He's gone around. We've seen. I think we might see seen the final years of Russ. I know he's been around for a while, but he's breaking
Wow.
down. And the early, just looking at some of that early tape, like he's when he looks and starts stepping into his throws, when you look at division, and it still sound really bad, but to me, he's happy. He's got everything. He's accomplished stuff. He's won a Super Bowl. He's got that fire that you have that you want to see the guy like I want to be determined. That he's content. I mean, if you were married to Sierra, you had a great family. You got all those. You made enough money because you keep going from deal to deal. Thank you to the Denver Broncos for really paying me that much. And you're just going around. It's like, no, I'll just. It's like he's just going. Well, I'll go to Pittsburgh to see if I can get a career, and I'll try my best. But you know what? If it's not happy, it's not working. I'll be fine. It's besides the Steelers. I get to play for a historic franchise. Hi, everybody. I got to think of a nice little. Let's do something with Renegade this
That's
time instead of Let's
hilarious.
Hunt. So he's happy, and I don't fault him for that. It sounds bad, but I just don't think he has that drive. He's getting older there. And then when you look at Justin Fields, I know you got George Pickens, but like we are talking about some of the other teams, they really don't have it surrounded. Najee Harris, to me,
Mm.
he let me down because I really thought coming to the league, he really be that impact running back. He showed it, and then something happened where it just went hit that wall and went down. So they don't have the weapons around him to really make successful. So you feel bad now for him because he thought he could resurrect his career. That's what I label around like, well, he couldn't beat out a content Russell Wilson, and he's with the Steelers. Look what number he couldn't even beat him out, and now he's going to be the journeyman guy. And the reclamation project, everybody thinks they can fix it, but he's probably the backup from that. And I just felt bad he had to start out in Chicago, and then you go to if you want to become truly get his talents, go to an offensive place. I don't. Nothing screams offensive prowess with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So
Yeah, it's a
he's just in a
stagnant
bad spot.
offense. I would disagree a lot. I don't know if we're at the five. I don't know if Russ. I know Russ is happy, but I don't know if he's. I don't want to play football anymore. Happy. I do believe that he's in a situation where his reputation precedes him, meaning the lack of aggression that people want to see in football, I think isn't there with Russ at the moment. And that's part of the problem. I feel like if Russ was the guy that, like, if he was extra with it, then people wouldn't believe he doesn't care. I don't know what's going on because when I watch him play, he doesn't look that bad to me. But I'm not a trained quarterback guru like you and M
I
and
wish.
other guys. So I don't know what I'm looking for, but he doesn't look bad. I do have a question about Justin Fields though, and my question with Justin Fields is, if not now, when? Like, there's always going to be a reason to excuse the shortcomings. The Pittsburgh Steelers aren't an explosive offense. Chicago has a history of bad quarterbacks. Ohio State had a lot of great players. There's always going to be a reason to excuse why he's not getting it done. If not now, when though? If you can't find a way to be successful in the worst of times, can we trust you to be successful in the best of times? And what I mean by that is if you've got all the tools, you know, can we trust you to be successful then? Because how do we know that you can take advantage of those tools? Like you got to build some sort of resume, man. And what's he got? 4 fumbles already? 2 fumbles already?
Yep. Yep. I look at that
It,
as training. I
yeah.
mean, this discipline. That's all it is.
Well, I look at that as a failure to pay attention to the details. You call it
Mhm.
discipline. It's all discipline is consistency. It's a passion for
Yep.
consistency. That's all discipline. This is a passion for consistency. And Justin he does make spectacular plays, but I repeat it, man. If not now, when? And Pittsburgh's not explosive. I get it, dude. So maybe you don't go here, you go here. You know what I mean? Maybe you check into some run. Maybe you just be consistent and make consistent throws, consistent plays, consistent reads. And, instead of throwing for 400 yards, you show for 250, but you get a rushing touchdown and 1 touchdown. There was a guy that had a pretty good career, and he started out with a passion for consistency. And then he turned into this explosive great quarterback, Tom Brady. So, I like it can work, but I don't see Russ falling off the way you see Russell falling off. I just see a guy who people want more from. And this is what he is. But they were to start him realistically. Are they better than the Cleveland Browns? No.
No.
Are they better than Cincinnati Bengals if Joe Burrow can play more than 5 games? No. Are they better than the Baltimore Ravens?
Nope. That's a no. It's a hard
So
no.
what are you looking for from Russ here in this one? Like what's the bar?
It's tough. Basically, just beat Cincinnati and sneak in because I think the North is good enough to have 3 teams out of it. That's basically it. You have to beat Cincinnati, get a better record in Cincinnati. You may make the playoffs because the South, Anthony Richardson's regressed, and the South, Richardson, I have questions about that. He had that long layoff. He hasn't really
Really?
played, so he's going through his true rookie year this year. So the
Mm-hmm.
South is the Texans. They like. I know you can say the Jaguars, but I worry about Trevor Lawrence.
You don't
Worry
need to
about
worry.
him.
Trust your eyes, man. You know what you see, you know what you feel with Trevor Lawrence. It's a great way to end the show. You know what you see, you know what you feel with Trevor Lawrence. And I told you at Clemson, I just didn't feel it. I didn't feel it. And I asked around, I was like, yo, what am I missing here? Oh, he's the goal. Well, he looks the part. He looks like Tarzan. Looks awesome. I just don't feel it. I just didn't see championship, with 6'5", rocket laser arm, what was the Peyton Manning line? I just didn't see that with him. And I cut you off, but yeah, going back to Russ, Chris, I don't know what they're asking for out of him. What are they
Make
asking for?
get maybe be he's at the point where he's almost like a game manager. Just make enough plays that we can get the offense in a good spot to put points on the board. We'll run the ball. We'll set you up for play action pass. Get the ball right plays, and we'll rely on our defense to hold true. Which that defense, yeah, it's got pieces, but there's still questions on that side of the ball too. So basically, don't mess up. That's what I say. Don't mess up and make us look like a competent offense. And even then, I'm like, yeah,
Yeah, I don't think I don't know what they want. Therefore, and it's like, well, they know what they don't want. Well, then they shouldn't have signed him. There'll be no. I'm trying to think of a game because Pittsburgh plays Atlanta week 1, right? I'm almost certain they play Atlanta week 1, right?
I believe so. Atlanta was
We'll
they were in
double
the
check it.
box. Oh yeah, something. Yeah,
Outside of Kansas City and Baltimore, I don't think there's a bigger must win in week 1. Like maybe Philly and Green Bay because of the problems they had, but the game's in Brazil. You could write that off. It's a little for travel, just a little bit. I, I,
I,
yeah, I can't think of one. Maybe you could. Can you
I,
think of one?
no, I think that the only the Eagles Packers because that's going to have playoff implications on that. But for in terms of starting and getting off on the right foot in that division for them, yeah, the Steelers got the biggest one, and the task got a lot tougher because Atlanta actually looks like they're going to be a decent team. And yep, you're right.
Yeah,
Pittsburgh Steelers they start out with. Yep.
yeah, and they will be a really I don't want to say they're really going to be. They're going to be a team that flies around, and I'm almost certain that game's in Atlanta. Kirk Cousins is home opener. They made the what they added Junon, if I'm not mistaken, from the
Yep.
Patriots. You
Uh-huh.
know,
Justin
they're a
Simmons
team.
too.
Yeah, I was just about to say they're a new team. You know, they're not the Falcons of last year. They got some new horses. I actually think Atlanta's going to be a good team, and so we'll say that for our week one predictions. But yeah, I think there's a lot on the line for Pittsburgh because they lose that game, and let's say they go Russ, he looks awful. Their season's now in parallel. Like their season could be a wrap. I'll give you the final word.
I say that, and I think Mike Tomlin, knowing that we know the Rooney's really like to stand by their coaches, but it's around that he's getting to that time where Calvert was toward the end of that part.
Yep,
So he's going to
I
have to.
agree.
He's going to be desperate in a way. So he's going to do something.
I agree. I 100% agree. Maybe he goes to Dallas. That's it for this episode of Unparalleled Sports Talk. I'm Kwame 50 Jones. That's my man, Chris Franklin. If you like the podcast, make sure you share, subscribe, comment, whatever your podcast platform allows you to do. And as always, we appreciate your time of year. Until next week, you be easy.